Alright, today's time for another leg workout, focusing on the hamstrings first, as we do on every workout. So first we do the leg curl, and then 3 compound movements, and then we'll see if we do another exercise. So this will be an interesting leg workout, but let's first start with some leg curls to get some blood in the hamstrings, which we want to grow.
What's up guys, welcome to Vintage Genetics, where it is all about classic bodybuilding and where a video would not be complete without this intro, which is why I'm telling you it right now. But yes, we are starting out with the laying leg curl. In my opinion, as for isolation movements for the hamstrings, the best movement to make them grow. You can get a full stretch, so make sure that you can do a machine where you can do a full stretch and a full contraction without the weight smashing onto each other. So this is a really excellent way of fully utilizing all the muscle fibers from the beginning to the end. And during the lighter weights, you should try not to use the glutes or the lower back too much. When it gets too heavy, you can use them a little bit, but if you use them right from the start, that means you're going too heavy right from the start, and you actually won't be able to isolate the hamstrings as much, but you're doing more almost a compound by using the lower back and the glutes. And a lot of people then complain, hey, when I'm doing squats or leg presses, I feel my lower back, it's getting a pump, the famous lower back pumps. They actually are created by doing this exercise like this wrong. So during the first few sets, really focus on those hamstrings, isolate them as much as possible. And then during the heavier sets, you can use the lower back and glutes just a tiny bit. But if you feel like they're really starting to build lactic acid in the lower back muscles, that's when you should really know, okay, I'm going too heavy. Try to isolate those hamstrings, because that's what this exercise is all about. And of course, I'm starting out with the hamstrings because it's a weaker point of mine. And, especially from the back poses now, because from the side poses, the hamstrings are actually, quite there. This workout is from a month out, and right now I'm like 9 days out as I'm talking to you guys. So I do look a lot different right now, and the leaner I get, the more I can actually see the progression I made in the legs. But I really did make some progress. Of course, it's still a weak point, but it will be fixed in the future. But right now, I do believe that there's a lot of mass added to those legs already. And this is the final set of the leg curls. When you don't want to go too heavy, what I just said, if you don't want to include the lower back as much, do 21. So 7 reps at the bottom, 7 reps at the top, and 7 complete reps.
Right, the next exercise, after having pumped up the hamstrings, it's time for the leg press. And you will see that I'll use actually resistance bands that create a dynamic tension. So at the bottom, the resistance of the resistance bands is the least, and the more you press out the weight, the higher the resistance will be. And normally, if you fully stretch your legs, it's the lightest, but now, because of the bands, it will remain difficult throughout the entire range of motion. So let's do this leg press, and I would really advise you to try this one out for a full range of motion with the tension during the full range of motion. That's unique on the leg press. Also, you can use it on squats. Swiftly squats with the leg press is really the best exercise to begin with. Let's do it.
So yes, that's what I like to do when I'm in a deeper cutting phase. I don't like to always start out with a barbell squat. I like to, kind of pre-exhaust. I know it's an overused term, but it feels like as a bodybuilder that it works. Because what I mean with pre-exhaustion is that you use an exercise that you really feel the muscles with that you want to train. With the leg press, when I go heavy with a lot of volume, what gives up first? The legs, because literally nothing else is working. It's not my stamina. I don't have to balance myself. I'm just sitting down in the leg press, pushing the weight upwards with my legs until the legs give up. If I would still have a lot of energy at the start of the workout and start with barbell squats, the legs, in my personal experience, aren't the ones who will fail first. It's my stamina. It's really a whole body exercise, because you have to balance yourself, you have to brace yourself, so you cannot really focus on those leg muscles. However, after doing a leg press to the max, the legs are pretty much fatigued, aka pre-exhausted. And when you then do a barbell squat, you can actually feel, because of the pump in the legs, the muscles working. There's a stronger mind-to-muscle connection available in the muscle fibers during the barbell squat. So, if you're doing regular squats, if it's front squats or barbell squats, if you don't feel much, lactic acid building up, if you don't feel a good connection in the muscles themselves that you kind of want to work when doing a squat, what you then have to do is to first do a few exercises where you do feel the legs. Or for me, it's, for example, a leg press, a narrow stance to work on the quad sweep with a full range of motion, going at least 90 degrees down, also targeting the hamstrings and glutes. But then I will fill up the legs completely, and when I'm done with that, when I do a barbell squat, it's not my stamina giving up, it really is the legs that give up first, and that's what I want to feel as a bodybuilder. And during this leg press, what you see me do is I can go quite heavy, but instead of blindly putting on a lot of plates, I like to put on these bands. So the first set I did 2 resistance bands, and it kind of seems like, hey, in the old school bodybuilding videos I never saw this, but it does have its advantages, especially when you try it out, especially again when you have knee issues or problems. My dad, for example, has had knee problems for a while, but when he does a leg press with these bands, because of the dynamic tension on the knees, on the legs, there's a lot less pain that comes from this. You can use this on a hack squat as well, the leg press, but what it does is it, first of all, prevents you from having to put a lot of plates on, and it increases the tension the more you press it upwards, which is very good.
Alright guys, it's time for the back squats. We just did the leg presses, really got a good pump in the quads, so now these back squats will be more difficult for the quads themselves instead of being tired from the exercise. So we want to focus on the muscle, not on the stamina, because we're bodybuilding right now. So the leg press fatigued the muscle, and now we're going to further fatigue it from a different angle with the back squats. So let's do those.
So with the back squats, because on the leg press I pretty much went all out, and pretty much until failure, because when I watch the videos it always looks so much easier than it actually felt in real life. But trust me, when I'm doing these squats right now, what I feel in the legs is an incredible stretch at the bottom. Also what you can see is that I'm standing with the Vintage Genetics shoes on top of a plate. That's probably like 6 centimeters high, probably like 2 inches, a little bit more than 2 inches high. And that actually allows me to lift up my heels from the ground, and that keeps my back more straight, and it allows me to go deeper than 90 degrees without actually focusing so much on keeping the back straight, which is very important for tall people especially, because I'm close to 6'3" or 189 centimeters, and when you approach heights like this in terms of body length, body height, then you start to notice that before you can even hit parallel, it's the upper body that's going to start to bend over, which then will give you again those lower back issues, which I've actually had in the past. I went too heavy, I went down too quickly, and because the upper body bent forward a little bit, there was a lot of tension on the lower back, and it caused a minor injury, but it did annoy me for a lot of months during the workouts, which set you back, and you don't want that. So as you always also notice that the weight isn't that high. It doesn't have to be that high, because trust me, the difficulty that I feel is not the full body workout. It really is the legs, the muscles simply giving up because there's simply no carbs and energy left to push the weight upwards.
Alright, this next exercise is purely for the quads. It's going to be the leg extensions, a very good finisher for the quads. We started out with the hamstrings because that's the priority, but you cannot forget about isolating the quads at least once a week as well. So let's do that during these leg extensions. Full range of motion, so check it out.
And at the same time, of course, I'm having a lot of low carb days, around 100 grams or 90 grams of carbs here. And keep in mind that I am used to eating 500 to 600 grams of carbs regularly. So having low days like that with an hour cardio and half an hour cardio after the workout does soak up quite a lot of energy from the workout and a lot of strength as well. So don't focus too much on trying to set records when you're cutting close to a show. But when I mentioned regarding a full range of motion, here you can kind of see the Tom Platt's way of doing these leg extensions, not only going upwards but actually going higher than just 90 degrees. Of course, now it gets a little too heavy to be able to do that, but if you look closely, I'm not only going upwards but also contracting the quads as hard as possible at the top, which makes this exercise a lot more difficult and doesn't allow you to do a lot of high quality, high weight reps, but it does allow you to fully contract and get those details in the quads.
Right, sometimes during the sets, in between sets, you see me walking right after finishing the set, just walking around a little bit. That's kind of an instinct it has become now, but the reality is, and the explanation behind it, is that the lactic acid is building up in the muscles, and basically the muscle fibers are entangled because of the pump. The blood is trapped in there, basically. What you want to do is basically get some blood circulation going on. Breathe in, get the oxygen to the muscles that you're working, get some more energy in there, and then do the next set. Because for example, if you keep sitting down at the leg extensions and you do heavier set after that, you might not be able to do 2 or 3 more reps because that's all you can do, because there's no new blood in the muscle. So that's why you gotta move around in between sets. And now it's time for the final exercise for the calves. You can do seated calf raise, but also standing calf raise. And the only difference is that you either sit down with your legs basically not stretched, or an exercise where your legs are stretched, and that's on the leg press. So it's basically a calf press. And what I want to do is keep my feet close together, focus on the outside of the calves, and do around 10 heavy reps. So let's do it on the leg press.
So the nice thing about this is that I already loaded up the leg press from doing the leg press exercise itself. Of course, I removed some weights because that was a little too heavy to start out with. But the calves, if you train them regularly, can handle quite a lot of weight. And I just mentioned that I was going to go very heavy, because when you go heavy with a full range of motion, then you will actually build the best calves. So for people who have smaller calves, who find it difficult to train calves properly, I do advise to go very heavy as you can, to get that stretch that you normally never get with a lighter weight, and then use a full range of motion. Because if you cannot fully contract and push out the weight like this, lower the weight. You're simply not used to this movement yet. You don't have the strength yet. But the moment that you do, you should definitely use it, because normally if you walk, each calf muscle is used to pushing up your own body weight on it by its own, pretty much every single step. So it's used to a lot of weight, to a lot of stamina already. So you don't always want to do high reps, low weight. You kind of want to do very heavy weights with a full range of motion, stretching all the way, contracting all the way, and then mixing it up with some volume work to get a good pump in the calves. But for me, as I already have great calves genetics, I will only do one heavy exercise.
Alright guys, that was the workout of today. I've told you before that they only do one calf exercise each leg workout, sometimes not even one exercise for calves, because the calves are strong compared to the quads, and when you watch the proportions, you want the quads to look bigger than the calves. So when you have strong calves, genetically, you don't need to train them as much as the upper legs. But anyway guys, this was a workout. I've been wearing the new retro font vintage shirt, available on the website vintagegenetics.com. And thank you for all your support throughout the years. I really appreciate it. We are 31 days out from the Arnold Classic in America. Really excited. Within 4 weeks we'll be on the plane to Ohio, so very exciting about it. And just want to thank you for watching, and don't forget to stay golden.